Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, we have about 5 minutes before our guest comes on. And so before this person who I have a ton of respect for gets on, I wanted to talk about some things that's going to tie into what she's going to be discussing, which is her part of her life story. I'm your host, Cy Smith. I've been organizing for almost 3 decades now. My whole focus is about humanity and what's happened to Black people, African people in the world. Out of the 7 billion people, 7 continents, Black people, dark-skinned people have had a tremendously rough go at it. And so what I use my time, my spectacle of time God has given me, is to concentrate on exposing the people who benefit, who exploit, in this case, Black people, African people. So my philosophy is that we're in a real good place right now in terms of turning the way society operates around. And the reason I feel like we're in a good place is because never before in mankind history have we had the tools that we have now. And that a lot has to do with globalization. It has a lot to do with technology, social media. A lot of things have been decentralized because when things were centralized, meaning a head and everyone had to do what the head said, you had less choice. And so now that you don't have those type of centralized figures, centralized governments, is giving more people input. Now, with anything, there's pros and cons. And so one of the cons of that decentralization is a lot of people out there doing their own thing. So I do think we're, just like anything, the pendulum can swing too much the wrong way. So we're in that place where we're trying to fine tune it, from having all your liberty and freedom to how to be respectful of others who might not agree with whatever it is that you do. Now, I'm the founder of the National Block Club University, and our whole mission is stopping this shooting and killing out here, the violence that's affecting primarily Black people. I know they say minorities, but you're going to hear me talk about what's happening to Black people. And of course, others can benefit from that. So National Block Club University been around since July of 2003. But before that, we had some other legal entities, and those names were Block Club Union, Block Club University, then it went to National. So at any rate, our whole direction is about block by block all over the world, getting Black people to coordinate together, to synchronize together, to love each other. And I believe when Black people love each other and do what's right with each other, then we can be a better member of humanity as a whole. It's hard if you're asking people who've been hurt, traumatized, to be whole enough to be, a diversity player. You know what I mean? You're going to get the best version of a person when they can be their authentic self and when they don't have the pressure on them that structural and systemic racism have done to Black people. Here's my guest. So now we can switch gears here. Is that our superstar, Jessica?
Hey, good morning.
How are you, Queen?
Good, and you?
Excellent, excellent. So we can say this is a mic check, if you will. We had like 2 minutes. You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I woke up woke up early, but then, got up, not the time that I really want to get up. I want to get up earlier, but I was tired. Just started school, so yeah.
So you, with the snow outside, your school's still in session?
Yes, they moved it to Zoom because the snow is so bad out there.
Yeah, you been out there yet?
Nope, not yet. I don't know if I'm going out there. If I do, I'll probably run to the store, the store close by my house, like the grocery store. But other than that, nope.
Well, I've been shoveling snow. I did about 45 minutes, so I got a good workout in.
Awesome. It's a lot of snow out there?
Tons.
Wow.
Yes, indeed. And my neighbor, she got me to agree to shovel her snow as well. So I guess I did it. So I guess that's my assignment for the rest of this winter, huh?
To be courteous and generous and kind, and to not basically be selfish ambition is what the word commands us, right? So that's a good thing.
No, it's all good. So before you got on, what I was doing was I was giving a prelude without naming you, just about society and like how humanity needs to do the right thing. So I definitely want to tap into your views on the state of Black people as well, and then of course people knowing what your story is and how you came to be where you are now at a 30-plus-year-old.
Yeah, 32
So,
year old.
Yeah, so let's get into it. How did we meet, Jessica?
So basically, this is kind of like our second time meeting, right? So, but we've been Facebook friends for years, since I was like in my about maybe early 20s, or probably since I've had my Facebook. I've basically been seeing you on my timeline for so long, since before I even changed my life around. I just never said anything.
Okay.
Never said anything.
It's something because I've been meaning to get in touch with you for a while. We had this last name solution thing, and so your last name starting with the letter I, it's just been on my radar, and I just hadn't done it yet. And when I saw the post on Columbia College, that's what really made me say, you know what, I need to engage this queen. She got some energy with her, and so that's when I reached out to you. So first, tell us about who you are, how you came up, and then I want to definitely go into what I saw that made me reach out to you. So who are you? Who's Jessica Ingram?
Can you see me? Because it's like we had froze for a minute.
I see you perfectly.
Okay. I want to make sure I'm not going slow. So basically, my name is Jessica Leah Ingram. That's my biological name. They call me, well, a lot of people call me Just So Real because I keep everything real. That's kind of like my spoken word name, my artist name. When I do spoken word and as I'm being up and coming and rising. So a little bit about me. So should I go ahead and go into my story, or just like, what do you want me to start at?
Where were you born at? You know,
okay.
Like, let's go down.
Just look, right. The little small things. Okay, so basically, I was born in Chicago, Illinois. I would say kind of like maybe the South Side. I kind of don't remember. I think I was born at the University of Chicago. I don't remember what hospital I was born at. So what else can I say? I'm 32 years old. I'll be 33 this year, like Jesus. What else can I say? I go to Columbia College, which is one of the top art schools in Chicago, which was prophesied to me years and years. Well, I said I actually spoke out my mouth before I knew that I can hear God. I said that I was going to go to Columbia College, but I didn't know that I was being so serious. And 10 years later, here I am. So what else can I say?
But now, Jessica, so why Columbia College? Like growing up, did you have a thing for arts? Were you always creative? Like where did that come from?
Yes. So basically with me growing up in, foster care and stuff like that, I guess if you want me to get a little bit to my story and how the Columbia College is connected. So basically by me growing up in foster care and going through a lot of different things, like I've always been creative. Like I've always dreamed of, because I used to go through so many like just horrible times, growing up as a foster child and dealing with abandonment and rejection, and just like basically being treated like a nobody. So a lot of people who go, well, I would say for me as a kid, and I'm sure a lot of different kids, when you're a kid and you growing up in foster care or you're being adopted and you're not with your biological family, we grew up kind of different. A lot of us, we don't grow up as like a lot of normal kids. So
what does that mean? Well, what does that mean?
So what that means is I'm not, okay, so like, how some people, not all people, because there's some people that have parents and they still are treated bad. They still grow up like a foster child. So I wasn't taken care of like a normal child would be taken care of. Like you have a mother and a mother and a father. They may not be perfect, but they know how to love on the child. They know how to be attentive to the child. They know how to be there for the child. A lot of people, as I can see, they raise their kids pretty good. They love on them. They give them hugs. They nurture them. They teach them right from wrong. They give them the social skills that they need. They have a lot of attention. But whereas you have and then they do a lot of different activities with them as well. Just, they raise them. And so when it comes to a lot of foster kids, we're just like a number. We get in this home and we're just there. We're just there. We have a foster mother. We have probably other different foster churches in this home with us, but we're just like, we wake up and we're not hugged on every single day. We're not nurtured. No one sits down with us and tell us all these different things. It's like me and a couple other kids that was in that home, like we had to learn off default, like just off the environment and the things that I see, whatever. You get what I'm saying? No one taught me.
Now, let me ask you this though. Is it different, would you say, for a foster male versus a foster girl? Can you speak to that?
So what I've seen is it's kind of like mostly the same thing. We go through the same thing, because I've met a lot of other former foster kids, a lot of them I've been running into, and their story is the same as mine. Some people's story are worse. A lot of them been molested, a lot of them been raped, a lot of them, starved, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it just depends, because some of them can become emotional like me, and some of them, they still are emotional, but they shut down and they don't talk about their story at all. You get what I'm saying? So I would say that it's the same thing. I don't know from their view how they see it. You get what I'm saying? But we still go through the same thing. It's just, I believe sometimes we may carry it different. You know what I mean? Right. So, but I want to say this, just growing up as a kid, I picked up wanting to be famous. I picked up like, I want to be this actor. And I would write different songs. I don't remember none of them. And then when I would get harm or something was happening to me, I would go and write in my journal. I had this journal or whatever. And when I get molested or something happens to me, I wrote or whatever. So that's where a lot of that came from, though. After I started getting deeper in the street lifestyle and I started going through a bunch of more trauma, I literally forgot that I was artistic.
But see, right there, I don't know too many men that's journaling though. And that's what I mean by when I asked you the difference. If you heard from a man, like if it's men journaling, more power to them. But I don't know too many men that's journaling. So that was your outlet. What is that male outlet? And if you don't know, fine. But I'm wondering.
Well, I would say that some of them, they may not journal, but they may still write. Because there's a lot of them I ran across that some of them, it just depends. Some of them, they'll write a rap. You get what I'm saying? Some of them do poems. You know what I'm saying? Some of them may pick up a different gift. And many times, some of them, they do imagine, it's like, and it's so amazing, like how our imagination can be. So when I was going through all these terrible things, my imagination would go somewhere else and I would picture myself famous. And I didn't even know that I was prophetic, that these things would actually come to pass. God was, you know what I'm saying, doing it. So I would imagine myself becoming famous. I see myself famous. I see myself just becoming like this huge person, whether if it was an actor, because I had a lot of different gifts. And growing up, I started to get into a lot of different things. But the trauma is what it's like I knew I was all those things, but then I didn't, if that makes sense. And I could probably elaborate on that a little bit more or whatnot. But I was going to say
what I was going to say on that trauma, give us time frame. 8 years old, 16 years old.
Okay, so I need you to elaborate with me for a minute. What do you mean? What do you want, like, start out?
When you start recognizing things were different from you as a foster kid compared to other kids, were you in 5th grade, 3rd grade? When did you start being aware?
It was I would say this, to be totally honest with you, like 2017, when I came out of 7 years of homelessness, and probably like 2018, as I started to get sick in my body, was when I was fully aware that I had been through so much trauma. Like, because I was going through so much, it was like one thing after another, one thing after another, one thing after another. Something about the mind, I knew I was going through stuff, but then I didn't. It's like I knew, but I was going through so much trauma. When you look at the people that's outside walking around talking to themselves, they are aware, but they're not aware, because they are in a state of psychosis because they have gone through so many different things. You get what I'm saying? So it's like I knew, but I had got to this state of like, I just knew my life was so hard. I knew my life was so hard. So at these certain ages, like I said, I knew my life was different, but I didn't process it until I came out of 7 years of homelessness in 2017. And that's, when I started to get sick, my body forced me, as I'm still going through continuously healing, my body forced me to have to find out, like, what's wrong with me? What's going on? My mind was literally making my body sick.
Now, can we pause? You don't have any children, right?
Nope, not yet.
So can you just speak before you get to the what it did to your body biologically with no babies? Can you speak to what it's like for a mother of one that's caring for a child in that system? Do you know? Like, do you have any perspective on that?
Well, yeah. So I was in like group homes with that. It's like the same thing. So it's probably in 9 times out of 10, like I would say that it was hard for me, but I can only imagine, it being probably harder when you have a child and they're going through the trauma right along with you. You get what I'm saying? I don't know if I really can fully walk in those shoes, but I've seen some girls and they, it's hard. So I just thank God that though I went through so much, I thank God that I never had that child, because some people, they never change. Some of them never change. Some of them end up changing. I know one girl, she grew up in a foster care system with me, and she had a son. Her son about 13 now, 14, right, with us. And she is a lawyer now. She just graduated as a lawyer. You get what I'm saying? And she actually, when we was in that group home, she was at shelter for foster children. She had that son when he was little, but now he's a preteen, right? And she is a lawyer, and I'm so proud of her. I'm very much. But she went through.
Now there's a lady in Milwaukee that owns a black gas station now, and her story, I haven't been able to get the fullness, but she has group homes, and from what I understand, for women. So she, whatever her motivation is, she's providing a place for young women. So whenever I make the connection, I want to make sure she see this video we have going on YouTube right now.
Yes, for sure. And that's definitely in God's making as well too, especially not just for me, just for foster children. This is what I realize is I'm always what's always that come be attracted to me is, or attached to me, is former foster children, adoptees, because they carry the same abandonment and rejection issues, and many kids that have parents, but their parents are so toxic and horrible, drug addicts, beating on them, molesting them. I met one girl, she had both her parents, but her parents it was like horrible. It was as if she would have might as well just been out in the streets. And some of them, that's why a lot of them are in and out in the streets, because they're at home, it's not safe for them. That's why they ended up in gang banging. And so my heart is definitely for the adoptee, the former foster child, but it's for the ones that's in the streets too, because a lot of them, they're just like me. They just never end up in foster care. And many times, let's be honest, foster care ain't no better. Sometimes being adopted ain't no better. You know what I mean? But everybody's story not like that. Very rarely I meet a foster child that was raised well. Very rarely I meet an adoptee who had the best life. You get what I'm saying? But they still dealt with abandonment and rejection, and dealing with because it's like a separation. It can be when you have your own child, right? Most women, but then you get another child, there still is like sometimes there's this gap, and the child knows, like, this is not my mom, because she treat me different from her other kids. You get what I'm saying? Like, I know that I'm like the black sheep. You get what I'm saying? I know I'm like the outsider. So yeah.
Now, do you think like you never turned to substance abuse? How did you cope with it?
Yes, I did. So I got into all different type of things after going through so much molestation. Then remember, I went through a lot of trauma before I even got took away from my parents that I didn't even remember, that had to come back to me. So I definitely turned to the street lifestyle after losing my biological mother. I started to go wild, and I got into smoking weed. I started popping ecstasy pills very strongly. I got into liquor. I probably was laced a couple times too, or whatever. But I never smoked crack, never did blows. Someone offered me blows before, and this was when I was coming out the street lifestyle. I heard God, which I didn't even know I heard God, but I was listening to one that was supposed to be my friend, and they offered me coke. And I said, why would they offer me coke? They were trying to give me coke. They were trying to get me hooked. And literally, I felt led to not take
female?
It was a man. But here's the thing. He was, homosexual or whatever, but he slept with women and men. He was trying to get me on drugs. And I knew, I said, if he's my friend, he wouldn't offer me no coke. A real friend ain't gonna do nothing like that.
Right.
So I didn't take it. I'm like, I'm not gonna take that.
Well, what time frame we at? 16 years old? How old were you at this stage?
So by that time, I was skipping back and forth. So I was just going from age about 14 is when I started to get more on a lifestyle, about 14, 16, between that time, which it ended when I started to get like real woken up or whatever. When the dude offered me coke, I was about 20, probably like my early 20s, something like that.
Okay.
But through that time frame, go ahead.
So if you don't mind, so you were molested from what time, Frank? What age?
All throughout. So basically, just to tell a little bit right here, I was molested before I got taken away from my parents, which I didn't remember. I was 4 years old. It came back to me as I was going through healing. I'm not going to say the person who did it or anything like that right now, but from there, getting in foster care, I was molested. In foster care, in the foster home, Touchstone. Someone made me do something that was a girl, do certain things to her. From there, just to remember, I didn't even know this until I went through healing, that my first who took my virginity, I got my virginity took on a day that I buried my biological mother. He came and got me from, my foster home. My foster mother let him get me. He came from his, he was on prom. He was older than me, 17. I'm 14 years old. And he actually manipulated me to have sex with him. I didn't want to have sex. Now, here's the thing. Imagine you 14 years old, just losing your biological mother. You're not in the right state of mind. I'd already been through a lot of trauma. And it's like he knew, obviously, to come get me. He didn't come to the funeral. He didn't support me as a boyfriend, anything like that. He came straight from his prom with his white tux on, came and picked me up, drove me somewhere. And he convinced me, he said, you ready? And I'm like, I was scared. You know what I'm saying? I was nervous, all these different things. I didn't want to do it. And peer pressure. And I said, yeah. Now he knew to get me in this state. And to make a long story short, when I got in the back, like, my mind was gone. Like, I was not there. And when he began to do what he was getting ready to do, like, I tried to push him off of me. It's like, but he put his whole body weight on me. And I didn't realize that I was raped. Because after he got done, blood everywhere, whatever you want to call it, right? He dropped me right off and went on about his business. And it didn't click consciously that that was rape. Like, he manipulated me and put his body weight on me and still did it. And it's like, it hurted so bad. It was so horrible. But this is what I'm gonna tell you, that I didn't want to talk to him at all. So my foster mother kept calling my home. So when she was like, go and talk to him. So when I finally talked to him, he just was like, I'm sorry. And I'm in my mind, because I'm still hurt. Like, I just lost my mother. You get what I'm saying? And I told him, I said, I don't want to talk to you because you hurt me. And that's all I said. I didn't say you raped me, nothing like that. I just was like, you hurt me. And I'm like, I don't want to talk to you. And then he just kept saying, I'm sorry, but I didn't even know why consciously.
So your foster mom, you never told her what happened. So she steady bringing him around because she didn't know.
Yeah, and I didn't know because I didn't know. You get what I'm saying?
I get it.
So this is also in the streets how I was able to be raped as well. You know what I'm saying? Because I used to go through a lot of mental problems. So you see somebody going through mental problems, a lot of them girls out there that's going through that, they're easily to get manipulated and taken advantage of. You get what I'm saying? And ran through and all these different things. So that's how a lot of my rape came about as well. And Just being taken advantage of when I was mentally not right.
So your view on trauma is very, you have firsthand experience. So when you use that word, it's coming from a place of direct experience, exposure.
Yeah.
So how healed are you now? If you had to go scale 1 to 10, where are you now? You 10 perfectly healed, or you halfway?
I would say, well, first of all, according to the word of God, I'm already free. I'm already healed. Who the Son sets free is free indeed. I'm just walking out my process. So I'm learning this season that death and life is in the power of our tongue. So I'm already healed. I'm free, but I'm going through a process where God is digging on the inside of me. He's molding me. He's shaping me. I was dealing with severe stomach issues. It was so bad till I almost died. I almost lost my mind. And I'm learning now to continue to take care of my body. And I realized that everything I've gone through was for a reason. It's not for me, it's for other people. So I'm already free.
Wait. Don't go there yet. That's what we hit on that when we talked offline. So before we go there though, I want to say something to you directly. So I peed in the bed till I was 12 years old. It was like an embarrassing thing, you know. And I can say that because if you laugh at me now, that was a long time ago. Oh, well. But my point is, I couldn't have said that to you at 13 or 14 because it was still hurtful to me. It was still a wound. And so I didn't want to talk about it because it was still sensitive to me. And one of the things I go by is when you can talk about something, it tells you, especially if you can freely do it, that you have a certain amount of confidence that you've gotten past it to a certain point. So I can tell you right now at 47, I peed in the bed, I was 12. That was 35 years ago. So you being able to share what you're sharing so far, 20 minutes in, tells me a great deal about where you are in that process, which is a good indicator because you're being transparent. You're not still feeling embarrassed you peed in the bed, so you're not telling no one that story. So I commend you for being that far along and you're being able to be vulnerable. Thank you.
Amen.
Excellent. Well, so I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just want to say I know that I realized that the more I tell my story, the more that sets you free. So just by me talking with you right now and sharing this is another step for me to be free. You get what I'm saying? For me to put on more of the new self. You know what I mean? So, and to get away from the old self. So the more you tell your story, the more free you become. The higher you go up and you constantly tell your story, it frees you more. You get what I'm saying? The more I write, it frees me. So this is a part of the healing process as well. So,
and you know what it also does? It gives power to those still in the cage, people who are still in that bondage, still in that, because they look and say, if she can do it, I can do it. We used to do prayer vigils on the block when someone got shot, killed, stabbed, and raped. And I would speak on the bullhorn to the people on the block that's inside a molestation home, that uncle or daddy molested them. And you can feel the spirits on the block. Like they ain't like that. Them spirits like, oh, shh.
Them demons, yeah.
But it was important to put that out there and let them know if this is happening to you, there's people out here you can stand with. You know what I mean? Connect with us, that type. While some of the leaders went on the porches to give out our number. But the point is to challenge that spirit that wants you to be quiet. They want you to don't say nothing. Shh, keep it on the down low. So that way they can continue to have reign. And so when you speak it, you break it, you making them uncomfortable, them spirits, you know?
Yeah, and that's what happened to me. Like, people wouldn't believe it. I used to be an introvert. Like when I was younger, plus I was abused. I was being abused, but I didn't know I was being abused. You get what I'm saying? It's so crazy when you've been abused and going through all these different things and you're going through trauma and you seeing all this different stuff that ain't right, that ain't of God. You don't, it's like you know, but it's like you don't know, if that makes any sense. You got the conscious and you got the conscious and the unconscious. Consciously, you're like, whatever, this is just what it is. You feel me? But unconscious, you know, this ain't right.
But the other part too, though, you can't, like, you know how you got a wound, and if you pull the scab off, it hurts even more. So you don't want to necessarily put it out there, then you get hurt even more because now daddy go get you even more now that you told somebody. So you really need to have confidence that if you expose it, you'll be protected.
That you ain't gonna be touched. Yep. That's why I ain't holding back nothing. Nothing at all. You know what I'm saying? I've learned how not to overshare and share when God tells me to share, but I'm not holding anything in, because I'm going to tell you this to everyone who's listening, who's watching this now, and everybody who's going to watch the replay, that, and I was getting ready to say something, it slipped my mind. Holy Spirit, bring it back. I was getting ready to say, I didn't forget what I was getting ready to say. It was important.
But I make sure you put Africa in there too, because we got young girls in Africa that they go through the whole village raping them. So I want you to speak to them too later. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I was getting ready to say something that was so important, but it slipped my mind. Talk about having a lot on your mind you want to say. I forgot what I was getting ready to say, but I believe it was going to be towards I don't know. I forgot something about.
It'll come back, but let's keep going. So you was telling us about your journey in terms of how you took your creativeness and started expressing yourself. So you are in poetry now, or what made you go to Columbia College?
So basically, the Lord told me, like I told you years ago, to myself, that I was going to go to Columbia College, and I actually did. So I studied writing. I'm a creative writing major. I know how to write books. You get what I'm saying? I would say I write my books in like a fictional type of way. And speaking on that, to connect what I was really going to say is this: when you get ready to tell your story, God will give you the strategies on how to tell your story. So for example, all the names of my book are fake. You get what I'm saying? My name is even fake so that I can step back from it, so I won't feel like I'm walking in that character's shoes, but I tell the honest truth. So I would say that my books are kind of like autobiographical fiction books and fictionalized memoir. They're real stories, but I use the names as fake so nobody can come after me and sue me. You get what I'm saying? But when I tell my story, I say that my name is Jessica, and my daddy, my mama, and whoever knows my mother and daddy, it just is what it is. You get what I'm saying? But to protect myself, that's how I do it. Yes, I do spoken word. I write poetry. I love writing poetry, as well as I know how to write plays, skits, monologues. I do see myself getting to script writing one day soon, as well as I can do some acting. I took some theater classes. I know how to write songs, all of these different things. So yes, I just love the arts. It's like I found a way to express myself in a creative type of way that is so healing. That's just like some people, when they dance, it heals them. Imagine somebody that praise dances that's really, really anointed and amazing. When they do that praise dance, and even things begin to break off of them even then. It's like, and I want to say this, that to connect it to that it helped me find my voice. That's what I want to say. See, when you open up your mouth, that it allows you to find your voice, and you no longer be afraid. You no longer get afraid because you've been through all this stuff already. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say no doubt. And the thing about expression, we got 5 senses. So whichever sense you use to express yourself, you are getting it out. You know what I mean? And that's important, not to hold in, to get it out there. So I think it's wonderful, and I'm grateful. So where you see yourself? What's the future? Where you at 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
So 5 years from now, I do see myself famous, but it's not me who's going to be lifted up. I see myself on stage just doing my spoken word. I'm going to be dropping some music videos with my spoken word, really, really cold, really amazing, professional. I see myself doing that really big with my books and stuff, just traveling around the world, speaking on different stages, on different platforms, even on social media, foster care, being a huge advocate for the foster care, the adoptees, and the kids that's out here in these streets. I see myself doing these huge revivals called the Millennial Gen Z Explosion, reviving with the arts, helping, just going out here, putting on these huge explosions. Of course, we're starting off small. We're going to be on Can TV. My mentor going to be producing them. And eventually this is going to end up big. And man, I see this just traveling all around the world, doing huge things at my church, with my pastor and youth ministry there. And just really the main thing I see myself doing is just winning souls, winning souls, because, my faith is very important to me. So I can't help but mention it, because see, it wasn't me who pulled myself out of the trenches, out of darkness. You know what I mean? So I give God all the glory. And I just see myself out here just on blocks, streets.
Well, now Now, not to refute what you're saying, but let me get this perspective out there to you. And we talked about the umbrella and how, you know, God is in charge. He's in control of all things. But you made a choice, because a lot of people got the same option and they're choosing the other way.
Yeah.
So God is he's just in all things, but you're choosing to be under the umbrella. You're choosing that protection, to give credit, to do all that. Other people got that same option, but they're choosing to do the opposite of that. So I think you got to give yourself some credit from that. It's God, no doubt. But people are disobedient.
Well, I did answer the call. I did answer the call. I will say that it's true. When God was calling me and I heard his voice calling me and different things, because God will send people to you too. You know that, right? He'll send prophets and different people. You like, how do you know me? I don't know you from a canopy. And I answered. I had to, plus, I'm gonna tell you this, my life had got so hard. I'm talking about, I couldn't, the caller was so strong. I couldn't help but surrender. I was walking down the street and I surrendered. I said, Lord, I would do it, because my life God was chasing after me. Let me tell you something. You can try to run, but let me tell you something. Things are going to keep happening. God is going to chase you down, and you can run to the end of your life. But many people, they know they call, but they're not answering. So I couldn't resist the call anymore. That's how strong it was on my life. That's how I was literally walking down the street and I surrendered. I didn't care who was watching me, who was looking. And I cried out to God. I said,
your video froze, or is it mine? Jessica, can you hear me? All right, everyone. We're still Zooming live. We're still streaming live on our YouTube channel. So what I want to do while we hopefully would get our superstar Jessica back, I just want to just let you guys know, if you felt her spirit, it's a beautiful spirit. And like she said, she answered the call God had on her life, which is amazing. And we want to invite everyone. Like, you were allowed to be born for a purpose, a destiny. No matter what you've been through, is what she's been through, she still loves God, and she's answering the call, and now she's living for God and gonna help other young people. If we can get her back, I'm gonna talk about Africa. I want her to give a message to young girls and boys in Africa who's going through trauma every day, and then we're gonna find out where she kind of told us where she see herself in 5 years, probably a little bit of 10 years in that as well. But this is what it's about, you guys. Whatever you're going through, the tribulations that happen in your life, how do you turn that lemon into lemonade? And hopefully, whatever you're going through, you can find some inspiration in what this young queen just explained to us. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give her one more minute to jump on here. And then in the meantime, I'll put this screen up here. I want you guys to see this, because at the end of the day, it's going to boil down to us helping her take her message throughout this country. And so this is an example. Her last name is Ingram. And what God allowed us to put together, all last name people around this country should definitely hear her story. We're in 20 different cities, and this is going to allow us to do just that. Here she is. So let me kill that, and we go right back to this queen now. You back there, Jessica? Are you back yet?
Hey, can you hear me? It knocked me out.
Yep. So I was just saying in the interim, I was hoping you got back on. I want to make sure that you told us where you at 5 years from now, 10 years from now, which is good. what do you say about the young people in Chicago and then in Africa? What hope can you give them? Any words of encouragement, inspiration?
Well, I would say this, that, you know, when I was out there, to be honest with you, and my life was so messed up growing up and even turning to the street lifestyles, I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't see myself coming out. You know, I didn't see my life getting any better. You know, that's the way I thought. I felt that it was never going to get better. I felt that I was cursed and everything like that. But the hope that I want to give you is to, but this is one thing I want to say. Though my mind would say those things, the enemy was telling me those things, but on the flip side, I never stopped dreaming. I never stopped persevering. I never stopped going forward. You know what I'm saying? Though I was going through so many things and I felt that I wasn't going to come out, but then I kept persevering. Like it's like I thought like that, but then I also thought like, nah, I'm going to come out of this. It's going to get better. Though it didn't feel like it, and though it didn't look like it. This is what I'm going to say, though it didn't look like it. So many times I know we hear this all the time, that you can't look at the situation. You got to walk by faith and not by sight. That's what I want to tell you. Walk by faith. What is faith? Faith is belief. Faith is believing in something that you cannot see. And I believe that's my imagination is what protected me. I always imagined myself becoming this successful individual, though I didn't fully think that it was gonna be the way that God, you know what I'm saying, had it. I thought it was gonna be this other type of way, but I want to tell you just to keep faith. For the streets, for the kids, for the youth that's in the streets of Chicago or just in Chicago, because some of them may not be deep in the street like that. They just may, you know, they are in impoverished areas and they have no hope. And for the ones in Africa, you know, I'm not fully from Africa, but my ancestors are, you know, and so I can only imagine what you guys are going through. I just want to tell you to keep the hope that there is a hope in the future for you. Continue to believe and continue to persevere. Allow your imagination to protect you, to continue, you know, allow your imagination to allow you to dream. And whether if you want to be a lawyer, a doctor, whatever it is, if you just have faith, faith is believing in something that you cannot yet see. And if you keep your faith will take you to where you need to be. So that's what I would tell the youth in Africa.
That's amazing. And that's amazing. That's good. I want to give you something very, very deep, very, very deep. And it's important that we hear this from you, though, because when you say you had hope on walking in the visual, it looked like you couldn't see yourself come out of it, but deep inside you felt like it was gonna get better. Something, right? That's what you said. Something.
Yeah, my imagination and things like that. I just kept imagining myself like, nah, I want to be this. I'm gonna be this, and I kept speaking. And here's the thing. Though I couldn't see it getting better, do you know, I would just say all these things. I'm gonna go to Columbia College. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And can I be honest with you? I'm gonna be honest with you, sometimes I didn't believe it. Sometimes I didn't, I'm like, I even told people I'm gonna be famous, I'm gonna be on TV, I'm gonna be this big person. And like, sometimes in myself, I'm like, I didn't believe, but I kept speaking it. And these things are starting to come to pass. You get what I'm saying? So faith, belief, even if the enemy try to come in and make you think these things, just keep speaking into existence. Write it down. Write your vision down. Write these things down on paper. You get what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, they will come to pass.
So what about this? This is the tough part. What about a person? So with that, they've been beat down so much that they lost their imagination and they hope and they faith. Like, think of, like, that's deep, because you saying despite what was happening externally to you, but because you had a little bit in you that kept you
a little bit, but I also struggled. But I also struggled though, being an atheist. Like, I didn't even know the word atheist existed. I struggled with believing in God, all these different things. But like, obviously it was something, a tad bit in me that, and sometimes I would speak things I didn't even know what the heck I was saying. I didn't know, I just was saying.
I guess that's my question. What was that little thing? Because if you say it's faith, hope, and imagination, some people got that beat out of them, molested out of them. So what else is it? Is it anything else?
So I didn't know that those words that I'm telling you, I didn't know it existed. So their imagination is still there. You get what I'm saying? Like, even though it may look like it's not, you get what I'm saying? Because you got to think about how I went through so much trauma. So I'm going to tell them this.
I don't know,
Jessica. If all of those things are gone, huh?
I don't know, Jessica. Well, okay, what, like, even when you was going through what you was going through. Them. Go ahead.
You have to fight hard enough. This is what I'm gonna tell them. You have to fight hard enough to that little bit in you. You gotta, because that's what I did. I fought hard enough. Like, I fought hard enough. Whatever little bit that was in me, I had to hold on to that little bit and fight and bring her out. Even when I was going through my states of psychosis, it didn't look like I was not there. I had to fight to bring her back. You get what I'm saying? So you gotta fight. You gotta fight. You gotta fight and persevere. I'm telling you, that's what you gotta do. And I want to tell everybody this, that it may look, so this may be, some people may get upset by saying this, but I have to realize this, that everything I went through was for a reason. For example, it was for a reason, and I'm sitting here talking to you to be sitting here one day and come on this Zoom and that's connected to YouTube or wherever it's connected to tell you guys this. If I never made it out, I wouldn't be sitting here telling you guys this. So I had to go through all of that. I had to go through all of that. So
now, I believe what you just said is the key ingredient is you have to have some fight in you, because it's easy to roll over and say, woe is me, my parents abandoned me.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
You know? But no.
Some people do that though. Some people do that though. You're right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's the main. Hey, I wrote that down. That's the main ingredient.
Yes, you gotta have a little bit of fight in you, man.
Excellent. So what can people do to support you? What you got going on right now as we close out?
So I have a book coming out this summer. It's actually available for pre-order right now on my website. What everybody can pre-order my book is called I'm Not Crazy, I'm Called, which is written from, it's a memoir, but it's written, like I said, in a fictional type of way so that I can reach my generation, but especially the younger generation, the Gen Zs. They don't read self-help books. You get what I'm saying? They like to read a lot of books that's written in a creative type of way, whether it's creative nonfiction or written in a fiction type of way. So I really dedicated this book for my generation, the millennials, and especially the Gen Z generation. So my book is available at www.getting, Getting, right, WRITE with WITH, Jess, JESS.com. That's where you can support me for the book that's getting ready to come out this summer. And also I will be putting together the first Millennial Gen Z explosion, which will be this, hopefully, grace of God, this summer in July. And it will be streaming, I believe, probably on YouTube, Facebook, but in person, the tickets will be free. So yeah, grace of God, they should be free for everyone to come out, because that's my way I want to see the youth change, right? But before we can go out into the world, we got to start off small. That's what I found out, before this vision can blow up big and before I go out there. So those are some things I'm working on. I also will be having a lot of spoken word music videos dropping this summer. I'll be starting my first video this summer. Huh?
Yeah. How do people reach you, Jess?
So my Instagram is Just So Real, JESSSOREAL. My TikTok that I'm building is also Just So Real, JESSSOREAL, as well as my YouTube is the same name. You can reach me on YouTube. My email address, I have a personal email and I have a couple of business emails. So I don't know if I should put, well, my emails is connected to all my social medias and stuff like, so I'll just give my social medias. My Facebook is Jessica Leah Ingram. And pretty much those are my platforms. I believe that's all of them. And my Twitter, I believe, is Just So Real as well. I'm rarely on Twitter because there's a lot of social media. So I'm just where God's telling me to be as he's leading me. So those are all my social media handles.
What about your MySpace? You got a MySpace?
Nah, MySpace is that was when I was young. Come on now. I'm even shifted from being on Facebook so much. I'm trying to be over there on TikTok. That's where it's cracking at. That's for older people or something. That was so young, long ago. MySpace and Tag. I was like a kid when that came around. Those were the first social media. Tag and MySpace, then Facebook. Facebook is getting old too.
Yeah. Well,
TikTok is where it's at.
So you said Gen Z, Gen X. What am I? 47?
You 47? I believe you may be a Gen X. You may be I believe you may be from the Gen X generation. So Gen X. So you have the Gen Xers after the millennials. You have the Gen Xers, I believe, because the oldest about millennial, to be honest with you, is about 40. The youngest millennial is about 26, 27, something like that. The oldest Gen Z is about 25. The youngest, I think they just turned 26. The youngest Gen Z is about 9, 10 years old.
So what's gonna come after
Gen Z?
Whole generation
coming after them.
They go start Gen A again?
Oh no, I gotta research more.
All right.
It's like a whole nother generation.
Yeah. Well, I gotta research. I am who I am. So
because I don't know the generation that's coming right now.
No, it's all good.
Yep, that's the generation you're from, and then you have the baby boomers too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
thank you for having me.
Well, I just want to say you are a tremendous person. You're going to do great things, and we're going to support you. All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
God bless you. See you, everybody.
All right. Peace.